So now that I've got my original map on its own layer, I'm going to tell Photoshop to make a new layer that I can color on. And to do that, I just click on this little piece of paper that shows up down here. It says Create New Layer. Click on that, and it makes layer 1. Now you can see layer 1 is in blue, which means that whatever I do over here is going to happen in layer 1. If I click on my original map, whatever I do over here is going to happen on the original map. So, clicking on layer 1, and let's give it a name. Let's call it color, let's just call it color 1. Now, when I color on this layer, and I'll just click the brush tool, I'll explain that in just a minute. When I color on this, I'm coloring on layer 1. You could even look and go, oh no, I'm making a horrible mistake. I'm covering up all my original drawing. Well, the fact is I haven't colored it up, because if you looked over here, you can see that all that color is in color 1. My original map is untouched. If I poke the eye out here, which basically makes that layer invisible, as it says, indicates layer visibility, if I click that, there's my original layer. It's fine. If I click on the original map, you can see that goes away, and I just get the 1. So hopefully you're getting the idea of the transparencies. It's very simple and very, very powerful. So let me get rid of everything that I did there. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to color, but I want to color underneath my original map. Now that seems strange, because of course if I draw like this, you can see I'm drawing in my color 1. It's showing me the color, but my original map is blotting it out. Well, there's an easy way to fix that, and that is by playing with what are called blending modes. When I click on my original map right here, I can go up to this thing which says normal. And what this is saying is that Photoshop's just going to show me the layer there like it's a normal piece of paper. Anything that's dark or painted will cover up anything below it, just like you'd imagine. But I can change that. Photoshop gives me all these different settings that I can play with. I'm going to change it to multiply. What multiply does is it basically says that anything that's white will be shown in my original layer, the layer I'm working with, will show up below. It'll be transparent. And anything that's black will blot out. It'll stay black. And there we go. We changed it to multiply, and now you can see that anything that was white in my original map is now green because I painted below it in the color. Anything that's black is being blotted out, so it's still showing up. So now I'm ready to begin coloring my map. To do that, I need to, of course, tell Photoshop how I want to color it so that I can begin. And for that, I will use this menu over here on the left-hand side. This is basically your Photoshop toolbox. Every one of these is a different tool, and some of them include more than one tool per button. The one we'll use is the brush tool, which is right there. And as you can imagine, the brush tool is just like a paintbrush. You can paint with it, you could draw in black, anything like that. It's a very basic tool. When I click on my brush tool, the settings change up here, the different options that I have. Whenever I click on any of these, the settings up there change. But when I click on the brush tool, I get a whole bunch of different ways to change the way that the brush will appear on my layer. The one I want to make sure of is this little flyout menu here allows me to choose a different brush, and there's a whole bunch of different ones that come with Photoshop. You can see that there's some that I've downloaded from the internet, and there's plenty of different brushes on the internet. I've created a few brushes. All I'm going to do is choose a very, very simple round brush. That little round circle is exactly, any of these are exactly what the brush would look like if you dabbed it down. So this is a hard-edged round brush. I'm going to up the diameter of it. You can see that right now that's how big the diameter is from the little circle there. If I up it, I can make it huge, and there it's gigantic, but I'm going to choose just a middle of the road one, somewhere around 60 or so pixels. Click on here, I'm on my color layer, and I can start coloring. Now, what color is it going to color? Look down here and you can see that this is my foreground color. This is the background color. The foreground color is what's going to be colored. So, drawing that, you can see it's the exact same color. If I wanted to change the color that I was drawing in, I come over here to my swatches palette. And I've got a whole bunch of them that Photoshop basically pre-put in for me. You can see that I've got some extra ones that I've added my own of over time and such. And I could choose any of these. If I want to draw an orange, I click on the orange. My foreground color over here changes to orange, and I draw in orange. It's very convenient that way. But I am going to just choose a normal kind of green color for my land. I'm going to color my land first. So I've got it all over here, color selected, and I just start coloring in large sweeping strokes all the way around anywhere that there is land. I'm not trying to be too neat here. I just am kind of doing the old coloring book thing where I'm trying to somewhat stay inside the lines. This is a place where it becomes really, really convenient to have a graphics tablet. When I first started doing maps and such, I used the mouse, and you can do it, but oh goodness, was it a new world when I got my tablet. It cost me like $70 too. It was nothing, and I've gotten so much use out of it. Highly recommend that. Okay, so I've basically done the large landforms in my green. Now I need to get those little corners. Now if I try to use this big brush at this great zooming, you can see it's going to get, I could kind of do it, but it's really, really hard even with my graphics tablet. So what I'm going to do instead is zoom in. Over here is my navigator panel, and I always leave this one up. I know some other Photoshop users, probably people who are way better than I am, use the histogram and info and stuff like that, but I always leave mine at navigator. This allows you to zoom in and out of your thing, you know, zoom in down to the pixel level easily. Or it's got presets here, so if I want to make it bigger, I just keep clicking this and it'll let regular intervals get bigger, or same thing here, get smaller. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'll zoom into 100% right here, and I will try to do it here. But now I need to lower the diameter, make it smaller so that I can get into some of those smaller areas. And there we go, a little much easier this way. And because I'm working under my original map layer, I can even go into the black. See how my brush is into the black? And it doesn't matter because it's being covered up. That's one of the reasons that I'm doing it underneath instead of on top. If I was coloring over top of my original drawing, I would have to worry about blotting out the black, you know, coloring with my green over the black. But I don't have to worry about that, which is nice. Now, here's something else that I want to tell you about. Almost every command and every function of Photoshop has a keystroke equivalent. So remember how we went image, adjustments, levels? You can see over here it's Control L. If I ever want to use the levels outside of actually pulling down that, I just press Control L, and there we go. I get my levels. Okay, there's just hundreds and hundreds of keystrokes in Photoshop, and you can even create your own keystrokes. One, I generally don't, and I'm not going to show you too many of them because I think that, at least from personal experience, I learn the keystrokes of the things I do the most. So if I notice I'm doing something over and over again, like deselecting or things like that, I learn the keystrokes because it does save time. But memorizing them just for the sake of memorizing, I don't know, some Photoshop experts really highly recommend it, but just as a normal user, me, I haven't noticed that. One keystroke that I do use all the time are the brackets, which are the square brackets on your keyboard. Look what happens when I click the right bracket. It's a beautiful thing. Click on the left one, and it gets smaller. So this is great for, you know, I go, oh, I need a bigger area here. Oh, I need to get in smaller here, and I can keep doing this.